webinar. Nope.
Good evening. Welcome to our second annual Boy Scout webinar, where we're going to inform you about all of the wonderful program opportunities here at Camp Raven Knob for this summer. Joining us tonight are Keith Bobbitt, our camp director, and Nate Todd, our off-season registrar, as well as Adam Moore, who will be joining us shortly. We're all here to answer your questions this evening and see if we can get everything straight for this coming year. With that, I'll turn it over to our camp director, Keith Bobbitt.
Thank you, Evan. Good evening, folks. Appreciate you joining us this evening for our second webinar for Boy Scout Camp. Last year, this worked out very well. I hope each of you have a copy of the Leader's Guide that we have for the 2016 season. We'll just kind of go through a few of the highlights in there, hopefully cover some of the updates and changes that we've had, make sure everybody's good to go for the summer. In doing that, if you have questions, you can email those to us at registration@ravenknob.com, and we'll try to answer those questions at the end of the webinar. We'll go pretty much page by page. We will take a few minutes further on into this, though, and get more in depth into the registration process, as this is a new system that we're using with Tentaroo.com. That is a great system so far. There are some changes that all of us have had to get accustomed to, but we'll get those questions answered for you. Nate Todd is a specialist with this, and he can help with that as we move forward. In looking at the Leader's Guide on page 5, please note that the first $150 per scout that recognizes the unit count is due between March 1st and April 15th. So we're coming on in about a month of that taking place. We've got about 1,400 boys that have now been put into the system with that $150 each, and we look forward to the rest of our troops joining us with that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. As we do that, and as you get into the system, if you have questions that you can't follow through on the system, just take a quick moment, check our frequently asked questions at ravenknob.com. If you don't see an answer there, feel free to send us an email at registration@ravenknob.com, and our team will get back with you in fast order here to help you through the process. In looking at the fees, we have added in there a half-week leader's fee. We have a lot of adults that come up either for the first half or the last half of the week that would still like to have a t-shirt and a patch, so we've got a fee there of $65 for them. That's typically folks that either come on Sunday and plan to leave on Wednesday, or show up Wednesday afternoon and are going to leave on Saturday morning. So make note of that. That is a change of an addition from what we've had in years past. Excuse me. If you move on over to page 6, it notes on that page how the registration process works. It talks about units and the leaders and how those amounts and the fees will take place, and the t-shirts, patches, and so forth that everyone will receive. As we have the provisional scouts, noted there, a provisional scout is a boy that has come to us by way of not coming with his troop. A provisional scout is a boy that is with us individually, and those boys can fill out a provisional scout application, which is available at ravenknob.com. You can fill that out and send it back to us at the Boy Scout office in Winston-Salem, along with your fees, and we'll get you squared away there for your week at camp. That may be a boy that can't come to camp when his troop is with us normally, or a boy that wants to come back for an additional weekend camp. Day campers, we do have some day campers that come to camp. In that effort, they come up from Surry County or Yadkin County, maybe close at hand. But if that would work out for you wherever you're coming from, check out the day camper possibilities there on the top of page 6. Campsite reservations and refund policies are covered on the next 2 pages there. That's pretty standard, and most everybody has those in place at this point, and we're moving forward. If for some reason your troop is not going to be with us, you can read the refund policy as noted there. I would ask that you pay attention to the campsite capacities as noted there on page 7. There are limits, minimums, and maximums. That's not carved in stone. It's just a good guideline that we work with. You'll note also that some of the campsites have a a little lightning bolt there. That indicates that that campsite either has electricity in the campsite or there's power close at hand. If you've got a leader that needs a CPAP machine or someone who has a nebulizer or other medical equipment, feel free to use that power. You may want to bring an extension cord or two to have on hand and make that better for you. We have also, in addition to that list, we have added power to stated Buffalo Bill A and B, and no, those are new this year. We've also added it to Knob View campsite, and that's a new one that is not on the list. Okay, very good. Let's move ahead then in the process over to registration. The registration process is unique to us this year, a little new in our moving over to the Tenaroo operation. We'll come back to Nate here in just a few minutes and let him go over some of the questions that you may have, and we'll get you through that process. Moving forward on page 10, it talks about ages. You know, the BSA doesn't have a minimum age for any merit badge. We recognize that, but at the same time, we hope that you recognize that a lot of younger boys are not quite ready to take on more senior merit badges, such as citizenship in the nation, the world, or environmental science, maybe rifle shooting, those type things that require a little bit more maturity and maybe sitting still for long periods of time. The BSA medical is covered there as well. Everyone coming to summer camp, to Boy Scout resident camp, needs to have a completed medical form. The form there, the 680-001, you need to have the complete form, all 3 pages, all 3 sections of that filled out before you come to camp. The BSA medication policy is stated there also on page 10. We have a great health lodge and a great staff that will be glad to help you there. Some boys and leaders are comfortable with the leaders keeping the medication in the campsite. We provide a lock box for you if you'd like to do that. If you'd like for the medication to be stored in our health lodge and be administered there, you can certainly do that, and we'll be glad to assist. There's an express check-in which helps on Sunday afternoons. If you've got medical forms from your boys and you'd like to send us a copy of those, feel free to get those to the Scout office or FedEx them up to camp, and our health office staff will preview those before your troop arrives. We do ask that you do not scan those and send them electronically, just for protection of private medical information. But if you want to mail us a copy, please do not send the originals. That would be helpful in getting you processed through on Sunday afternoons. On page 11, it talks about the Order of the Era. Wahissa Lodge is a great component in what we do at Raven Knob Scout Reservation. Adam Moore, our registrar, is also the lodge chief this year, and he'll be working with troops and helping everybody in the process of being recognized on Wednesday night, those new ordeal candidates. If you are out of council, please note there you'll need a letter from someone in your home lodge, Key 3, giving us permission and authority to recognize your boys in our call-out ceremony that we'll do Wednesday night during the family campfire. Also, if you'd like to earn your brotherhood and you're a member of Wahissa Lodge, we'll be more than happy to help you do that. We can earn your bars while you're at camp and do that on the early part of the week, so you can also be recognized on Wednesday night. The last part of page 11 talks about packing, what to bring from a troop point of view as well as for an individual. It also lists some things about what not to bring. Certainly we don't need anybody bringing personal firearms or bows and arrows and that kind of thing. We've got all that you'll need once you arrive at Raven Knob to take care of that. Moving over to page 12, it talks about a few tips there. We find that most boys do very well with a foot locker similar to those that they would have at Walmart or one of the other stores, a black plastic foot locker that you can secure your gear in. It's pretty well waterproof and helps to kind of keep things organized over the course of the week. Transportation-wise, we have a lot of troops that come in vans, some come in buses. We're ready for you when you get to camp. Our large parking lot at the maintenance area makes a great area for buses to turn around so they don't have to get down into the proper part of camp, if you will. That's been real handy in the last few years. If you go into that area, we'll have a truck there to move your gear, and get it up to the campsites. There's also handicap permits and service permits. If you need those for a personal vehicle to move around the camp, that's fine. Some folks like to bring a golf cart. We don't encourage that unless you need it for a medical concern. We have several golf carts that we have used during the course of the week to transport individuals that have infirmities that need some assistance there. In the grand scheme of things, Raven Knob is a beautiful place with a lot of activity. There's also some ways you could have an injury here and there. Looking at the safety end of this, how to handle emergencies, all of our program areas, all of our staff quarters, there are telephones that link back to the health lodge and the administration building. So if you ever find yourself in need of medical assistance, please reach out to one of those areas and our staff will be glad to help you with that. Fire safety is always a concern. Every campsite has a permanent fire ring built into it, and we would ask that you only use that for a troop campfire and that you make sure that that fire is totally extinguished before you go to a campfire or go to the dining hall or call it taps, for the night there. In the liquid fuels and propane, that's only to be handled by adults, of course. Moving on over to the next page on merit badge programming on page 14. We've got a tremendous merit badge program that we offer at Raven Knob. There are over 100 sessions a day being offered. That is a tremendous opportunity for boys to earn advancement, build on skills, have fun, meet new friends, all those things tied together, and we want these guys to be successful. And that's another point with the age thing. If a boy is young and he has been in school all year, to put him into Trail to Eagle badges where he's there sitting down all day long, he's really not had the opportunity to experience the beauty of Camp Raven Knob and to see all the different activities that we have there in store for him. On page 14, you'll see a list of icons. Study those icons and you'll get a good understanding of their meaning, the 1 hour session, 2 hour session, sessions intended for younger boys or older boys, or maybe both. There's also a notice there for boys earning Eagle badges. You'll see the icon for that. There are program fees for material costs down through there. You'll see the notice on that. We do have some merit badges that are maxed out because of size. There aren't many of those, but there are a few, such as computers, robotics, welding, a few others there. But you'll see that as you work in our system there. Thus, the earlier you get your boys registered for sessions, it's a first come, first served basis at this point. So work through that as best you can, and we'll be glad to help in any way that we can. On page 15, it talks about the aquatics area. It gives you a listing there, and for BSA lifeguard and American Red Cross lifeguard. That's one of those areas where we are pretty strict on the boys have to be at least 15 years of age. In that, they have to be 15 when they start the program so that they can earn their BSA lifeguard and American Red Cross lifeguard. There is a charge there that covers the books and materials they'll receive over the course of the week of $45. That is an additional charge over the camp fee. But at the end of that period, end of the week, and the boys do spend all week in that session, they will walk out of there with those certifications, which are great to help them get summer jobs or even to be a member of our camp staff at Raven Knob. Canoeing, free swim, kayaking, all those are very popular at camp, as well as mile swim. If you look over on page 16, it talks about life-saving merit badge. Rowing and canoeing, a lot of the skills that you learn in one, you also learn in the other. So we're doing a combination of those two this year. And a boy can move into that, and if he's completed his swimmer's test, he can actually take rowing and canoeing at the same time, and he will finish that when over the course of the week he'll finish both merit badges in the same session. Looking over on page 17 in the nature area, you would note the different merit badges we offer. It mentions fishing. We will have plenty of fishing available in both of our lakes at camp, but we are actually not going to have fishing merit badge at camp this summer. That was left over from last year. We tried it. Didn't work out quite as well because boys catch fish on different days and at different times of the day. It's hard to narrow that down to just a 1 hour session when that's going to take place. But feel free to bring your rod and reels and your favorite bait, your lures, and give it a shot. On page 18, There's further listing of merit badges in the area. There's also a dual merit badge there for forestry and plant science that we will be offering this summer. Okay? In the Scoutcraft area on page 20, there's a host of merit badges that we offer in Scoutcraft. The most popular one of all, though, has become Cooking Merit Badge. Certainly since cooking has come online as a merit badge required for Eagle, a lot of boys have been involved in that. Every boy needs to know how to cook. So that has been a very popular badge. In fact, we offer it twice a day and in 2 different locations at both times. So that helps to have smaller numbers in those sessions. Certainly as a leader, if you're interested in cooking, if it's backpack cooking or Dutch oven cooking, and you'd like to help us with that, come to one of those areas and we'll be glad to get you in there and help us at least make sure those boys wash their hands before they start peeling potatoes. Any help would certainly be appreciated. The rest of that, I think, is pretty much the same as we've had in years past and pretty straightforward for Scoutcraft. I would note that on Camping Merit Badge, we do an overnighter on Thursday night, and boys do need to bring a tent to take with them for that overnighter. Wilderness Survival will also do an overnighter that night, but they'll be building their shelters out in the back country of the camp. On page 22, we have the handicrafts area discussed there, and that's a popular area for everybody, but particularly for younger scouts. They have a lot of hands-on merit badges where boys can build skills, learn new things, work with some great instructors, and as they go through that, you'll note on the bottom of page 22 it talks about advanced wood carving. That's not actually a merit badge, but it's something that we offer for boys that have really kind of taken a knack to carving, and they can come back up and work with our staff and learn more skills, use different tools, and build the wood carving abilities. The shooting sports area, mentioned on page 23, is one of the most popular areas in camp. Going through that, scouts learn their skills, they learn a discipline there in shooting from trained instructors, and we've got really some of the best instructors in the country in one of the finest rifle ranges, shotgun ranges, and archery ranges that you'll find anywhere. We also, in addition to archery, rifle, and shotgun, we also offer pistol shooting if you are registered as a Venture Crew member. And that's for males and females. As long as you're a Venture Crew member, you can take part in that. Please read the information there under that very carefully so that we make sure you are registered as a venturer. Moving on over to page 24, the Outback programs that we offer, starting off with climbing. Terry Moan will be our climbing instructor, and we'll do a great climbing effort there at our new tower. It is absolutely one of the finest climbing towers you'll see in the nation. The boys will climb there for about 3 days, and then they'll go down to Hanging Rock State Park and climb there on natural rock for a couple of days. It's a great experience. They build their skills, several different climbs that they can do to test out their abilities. It works out really well overall. In mountain biking, we ask the boys bring their own bikes. We store those bikes in our program areas. Boys do not ride the bikes around during camp. They are just there for the program itself of mountain biking. With 3,200 acres, there are a lot of trails, single track and double track, that the boys can ride on. And we'll have great activities, good leadership, and those guys will see parts of camp that nobody else will see over the course of the week. The Cripple Creek primitive area is one of the coolest areas in camp. It's about midways in the actual property of Raven Knob. We've got several log cabins that have been built there. There's an outdoor kitchen that has running water, if you will, and there's a hand pump there for them to get fresh water from. There's also a shower and other facilities there as they need. It's a great area for boys to go out and spend a week in the back country learning primitive skills from outdoor cooking, hide tanning, notching logs, black powder rifle shooting. Blacksmithing is also popular, and every boy makes a knife while they're out there. It's a great time to be out in the back part of the country. They also will learn skills that will help them finish probably 4 to 5 merit badges over the course of the week. They'll pay attention to the requirements. They'll pick up metalwork, they'll pick up rifle shooting, wood carving, several others as they work across the course of the week. most of cooking merit badge as well, because they'll cook all their meals during the course of the week. Those boys will come in for Wednesday night for the family campfire and join us there in the main part of camp. Following that, on page 26, we have the Raven Knob Wilderness Challenge. That is a great adventure that Colonel Matt McCormick has put together and led for several years. The Raven Knob Challenge varies week to week. We are pretty sure this year that week 1 that those boys will be hiking on the Appalachian Trail, and they'll do about a 50-mile hike over the course of that week. We have a good team of staff that will be working with them, and they will head out on Monday morning and be hitting the trail and come back in on Friday evening. The other weeks will be a combination of either paddling or hiking as we move through. We will not offer the Raven Knob Wilderness Challenge during week 7. If you need more information on that, just send an email to registration@ravenknob.com or to myself, and we will get you linked up with Matt McCormick for further details. On page 28, it talks about the Raven Scout program. In Raven Scouts, our first-year program, boys that are new to scouting will choose to either be in that in the morning or in the afternoon. We generally don't encourage leaders to have boys in both of those sessions. The morning session is geared toward tenderfoot and second class. The afternoon session is geared toward first class. That really works out pretty well because we find a lot of boys have already bridged up earlier in the year and they're ready to start working on first class, so they go to the afternoon. If a boy's bridging up in April or May, he needs to be in the morning session. All of us know that they have added Scout as a rank. We actually will not be offering that as a rank or part of the first-year program that we do through Raven Scouts. However, on Monday evening when we have the get-together for all the Raven Scouts, we will have a review of some of those requirements there for everybody to take part in. Okay? Very good. Let's move on over to page 30. On the Trail to Eagle program, there is a lot of new information there. The Citizenship of the Nation and the World are great merit badges for boys to earn, as well as communications and personal management. We do not encourage that a boy be in all of those all week long. Let the boys be out and enjoy the camp. Go down and catch a salamander in the creeks, or learn to tie some new knots, or how to use some tools down at the Scoutcraft area. Try not to be in that program center the whole week doing Trail to Eagle. But those are great sessions. If you need those and you're coming down on the last few merit badges for Eagle, we've got a way for you to do most of those there in camp. While salesmanship is not required for Eagle, it is actually put together with that team of staff, so that's why it's listed there, but please note it is not required for Eagle. Under technology, the technology area has really grown in recent years. That's our STEM program, and it has picked up merit badges day by day almost, it seems like. But digital technology used to be computers. We have a great computer lab for boys to learn in there. Space exploration and astronomy, we are moving those into camp. In recent years, they have been out in the further back end of the camp out at the Kyle Johnson area, but we're moving those closer into camp, and they will be held in camp a lot closer for the boys to walk. We'll have that on the maps and give you more details when you actually arrive in for the summer. On page 32, it talks about aviation, engineering, welding, automotive maintenance, and of course energy. All of those will be tied together at various locations in the main part of camp this summer. Twilight activities that are mentioned there on page 33 talk about advanced wood carving. We mentioned that a while ago. We do cope usually 1 or 2 nights a week. That's low elements of cope. It's a great team building exercise for boys to get together and do. We have staff members that will work with you on that. The Knob hike is almost a rite of passage. Everybody likes to hike to the Knob, and troops do that together, or several guys, and we'll get together from a troop on their own and do that. In the Raven Scouts, all the Raven Scouts get a hike up to the Knob as one of their sessions. There is a sign-out book there at the Raven Scout area, and we ask that everybody do that and that everybody use the buddy system while they're in camp. The Raven Scout round robin as noted there on page 33, it's held on Monday night. That'll be a review of the scout rank, just to have that repetition, make sure these boys pick those ideas up. The Scoutmaster staff softball will take place on Friday afternoon. Our camp staff's going to come back and try to actually win again this year, so we'll give that a go. Free swimming boating is always popular at Lake Sabata. We've got one of the finest waterfronts and one of the finest aquatic staff you will find anywhere. So make sure you go down and enjoy the aquatics area. It's a great way to cool off at the end of the day. We have an 18-hole disc golf course, and we'll actually have a disc golf tournament as we move through the week. So take advantage of that. Bring your disc with you. If you leave them at home, we've got some in the trading post. The movie night is held in the chapel on Tuesday evenings, right after the chaplain aid training. And we'll try to have a good movie for everybody to come down and enjoy there in the chapel. Tote and chip instruction, if you need help with that, talk to our Raven Scout area. They'll be glad to have a staff member or someone from the commissioner staff come to your campsite and work with your boys on their tote and chip skills. There are other activities such as troop rappels and troop shoots that you can take part in. Just contact the area directors for those areas and they'll be glad to assist you. You might also want to plan a campfire with a neighboring troop and everybody get together and enjoy some scout spirit while you're there at Raven Knob. On page 34, it talks about things that we cover just for leaders, be that training or just other activities. There are a lot of training courses, though, that do take place. In climbing, there are several. We have a CPR course, New Leaders Essentials, Safe Swim Defense, Safety Afloat, Aquatic Supervision. All that takes place over the course of the week for leaders to jump in on. The Scoutmaster Merit Badge is a great way for leaders to help back with our staff. We have about 120 staff members in camp and usually about 150 leaders. And all of us together can usually help the 600 plus boys that we have in camp each week. So if you've got a particular skill or some area you want to help out with, well, just come right on. We'd love to have your assistance. As we narrow that down, the Just for Fun is the silver spoon, golden spatula. That's the cook-off that we have, and that works out pretty well for our commissioner staff who get to test all the food you guys cook. So bring your special recipes and some foods together, and we'll have a good time with that down at the log cabin. Okay? Very good. Take a look through the rest of that. That should work out pretty well. Page 36 and 37 go over the registration and how day one will work. And I think it's got most every detail you can imagine on the next couple of pages there. The daily schedule is on page 38, and we will provide to you a passport, the Raven Knob Passport. It's one of the greatest tools we've ever come up with. That passport is an individual schedule. There's one for Tommy and there's one for Jimmy, and he'll have his passport with his schedule, and there's a map there that shows where every merit badge in camp is being offered. So he'll have that in his hands and ready to start off on Monday morning. Makes it a lot easier for him to find his way around camp. In doing that, as you're helping these boys plan their sessions, we would encourage you to look at the map so that the boys are not having to walk all over the creation. It's a beautiful camp, but they can get worn out if they're just walking all the time. Kind of plan their sessions there to where they're relative in location to each other, and that'll save a lot of walking for these boys. We have a great museum in camp. Plan some time to take the troop down and visit the museum. Those guys do a tremendous job of putting out some materials that you've probably never seen before in relation to scouting, training, Order of the Era, and just the history of Camp Raven Knob. On page 40, our trading post is always available to you. The hours are listed there, and we've got everything you need. If they don't have it, you don't need it when it comes to camp. They'll be glad to help you with any of that, day or night. There's Lost and Found and Checkout. We'll give you a pager when you come to camp. It may seem old school, but it's a great way to communicate, for us to communicate with you when we need to get everybody to come to the dining hall, or there's going to be a change in schedules or what have you. Every leader will, at least one leader in every troop will get a pager so we can communicate with you. The last page or two there are pretty straightforward. The working page that shows all the different merit badges and the time slots that they're offered. Take a few minutes and work through those. There's some notations in the book also that tell you what the code system means. If you understand that a little better, it'll help you in planning that out for the boys. Hope this has been good for you. I'm going to turn it back over to Nate Todd now to help you with the registration system and how Tenaroo has come online with us, and we have built a system we think is going to be better for you and better for us in helping taking care of our boys. At this point, Nate Todd.
All right, thanks, Keith. Everybody, just so you know, as we're working through the registration, we just want you to be aware that this is a new system, and we're working to make it as efficient as possible for you guys. So if you have any questions, like Keith said earlier, make sure that you send us emails to registration@ravenknob.com. There's 3 or 4 of us that monitor that email address, and we get it back to you. We'll normally get emails back to you within a couple-hour period. We monitor it throughout the day, all of us, and that's the quickest way to get questions and everything sent back to you guys. With that being said, let's just talk a little bit about registration. As you're aware, if you've not already done registration, it's a little different this year. You should have all received in the mail, it was sent to your Scoutmaster or whoever we had as the unit contact from last summer. We sent a leader's guide with a username and password and a kind of a brief section on how to get onto this campsite. Let's look really quick at the Tenaroo. So if you did not get a username or password, please send us an email to registration@ravenknob.com, and we'll take care of that. If you've not noticed, the common theme here is any questions you may have need to go to registration@ravenknob.com. So that's kind of where we're sending everybody. So let me share my screen here, figure out how to do this again. Share screen. All right, here we go. All right, so Evan, you seeing my screen?
Yeah, I can see it just fine.
All right, perfect. All right, so what we're going to do, this is a Tenaroo. So when you go to log in, you're going to log in, and yours is going to look slightly different than mine because obviously y'all are not an admin user. So yours is going to look more like this, where you only have these items here at the bottom. So since I forgot to add us to an event, let me add us to week 7 really quick so we can walk you through this process. And Adam, Evan, don't let me forget to change this out and delete this so we don't have that show up. All right. So on your screen, you will see, we're going to refresh this puppy. So we're there. All right, so when you log in, you should see already over here on the left, if you're a Boy Scout troop or a Cub Scout troop, we talked to them last week, but if you're a Boy Scout troop, you should see what week of camp you're coming to and the date. If you don't see that and you don't have anything in this area right here, send us an email to registration@ravenknob.com so we can make sure you get assigned to the right troop. So whenever you go to that week, you'll click on your week. All right. It shows up right here what campsite we have assigned you to. It might not immediately show up the campsite because first, before it shows the campsite, you actually have to have a youth or leader registered to come to camp. So you would click change registration if it said 00 right here. You hit change registration, and this is where you'd put in your scouts. So obviously for this one we got 5 scouts and 2 leaders, and then you would hit save, and it would take you to that information. All right, it would ask you to pay. If you look over here in the corner, we require a $150 unit count payment prior to registering for sessions. So it's going to say you need to pay $750 to do that. So I'm just going to pay other amount of 0 right now, and we'll deal with that later. We'll check out that in a second. Once you got to that payment, you could make your credit card payment right here with Tenaroo, and it will send you a receipt and keep a track of that in your profile. So when you get to the point where you made that stuff and your payment, we'll go into session registration. So first off, when you go to the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to build your roster. So on tab 3, it says your roster. So if you need to add a new youth, you'd hit new and you put in all their information here. So anything with a red star like that is a required field. Some of the stuff may have been required in the past and we might have thought about it and decided to take it out, but anything in red is required. This is a great area right here, special needs, where you can say, hey, are they allergic to anything, or is there any diet restrictions, any of that stuff right there. This is also where you will provide your shirt size for your kids. Go ahead and get the shirt sizes correct, because the idea will be is once your registration closes, we'll be able to provide the trading post with a list of all the people in your troops' shirt sizes, and when they come to camp, we'll just be able to hand them off, and you don't have to fill it out at camp like you've had to do in the past. All right, so you're going to build your scouts here, and your leaders down here at the bottom. So this actually moves up and down, so you can move between the different things there. All right, so this is Johnny Scout. This is the boy we're going to be registering. So when it's time, after you've paid your $150 and you go into event registration, you're going to click Event Registration tab. Now you're not going to see any of your youth right here, all right, because we've not actually registered them for the event. So you'll hit New, and then that'll take you to a list of your scouts. So you'll see a list of all your scouts right here. If you don't see any scouts in this column, that means you've not added any to your roster, so you'll need to add those first. So we click on Johnny Scout, he's a youth participant, and we create registration. Double check all this information over here to make sure it's the same. Most of it all should be the same. The only one that is going to add something about is probably going to ask you for year at camp. All right, and so we're going to say he's there. This will be his 5th year at camp, and any registration notes you want to leave for us for that. Then you will hit continue to pick options. Cool thing about Tenaroo is everything, once you select this session, it will actually go away and only provide you with the stuff that's remaining. And vice versa, it will also only show you anything that has spots available will only show up. So if a session's already filled up, so a lot of like kayaking, I know it's been filling up quite a bit. So if kayaking doesn't show up on the session, that means it's already been filled. So there's nothing we can really do to override it. So that just means that session's not available, and the scout will have to choose an alternate session. You'll click. So we're going to build weather. So we click on weather, we drag it over, and you'll notice that it will take away any options that are not there. So example, this environmental science was a second and third period, so it took away everything else in second and third period, so I'm only left with 4th, 5th, and 6th options. So we're going to do a free session, nature, camping, all that good stuff. All right. Now I'm not actually going to save this because I don't want to pull registrations out of your options. If you'll look down here at the bottom, there's a handy little guide that'll show you minimum age, fees, any of the stuff that's listed there. So you would hit Save Your Scouts, and then it will actually take you into, I'll just save them now and I'll put those spots back in a minute. And that will take you back. So that's what you would do for all your scouts in your thing, in your troop. All right, now before your sessions are actually confirmed, you'll have to check out your cart. So you'll see this last tab is the cart. It also shows up here as the cart, and it also shows up down at the bottom. So if you're on the home tab and you see your cart only has 7 items in it, you'll need to click that. It's really important that you check out every time you make changes, because changes are not confirmed until you check out your cart. Okay, so for example, we would check out this one right here, and this is going to pay our fee. If we had our fee there, that's also going to pay for Johnny Scout's classes. So I'm not actually going to check it out because this is not a real troop. So I'm just going to delete those out so it doesn't mess up any of that stuff. Okay. So that's kind of an overview about that. Also, this Tenaroo is a great option. It'll show you on the home screen. You'll see the leader's guide, a copy of that if you need that, any of their contact information. You can actually print invoice reports, participant roster reports, any of that information from this screen here, and then you can do that all on your own. We will actually apply your unit count and your campsite deposit information and your leader credit after the fact, so you will not see those in there to start with. We actually have to go through after you make your unit count payment and apply those, but we will get those taken care of. We'll probably do that mid-April to make sure everybody's are in there after all the registrations have been processed. so you can get a final count before you begin your final payments. We encourage you to make all your payments through this platform, and the reason that is it just makes it a lot easier for you to make sure your stuff gets confirmed at that time. We don't want to hold up you not getting classes because the payment is being waited on at the council office. So it's really a lot easier for you guys to register through the platform and then take it that way. Okay. Hey, Evan and Adam, before I switch anything over, Keith, am I missing anything you need to talk about specifically about in Tenaroo?
I don't think there's anything in particular. Adam, did you have anything?
No, I think we covered our bases there.
Okay, and one thing I just want to remind people is when they log in the first time and they're trying to go to session registration, if they have not actually provided a unit count, it will not allow you to do anything. It'll say that you've already reached the maximum number of participants because you've not provided any. So the first thing you'll want to do, like I said earlier, is change your registration. So if it shows up here as youth 0/0, adults 0/0, you're not going to be able to do anything. So change your registration and update it to the number of youth you're planning to bring and the number of scouts. After that stuff is submitted, then your campsite will show up there. If there's any questions with that, just send us an email and we will take care of that. Adam, Evan, Keith, and I, we need to talk on almost a daily basis nowadays. So any questions we have that we can't answer, we'll contact Keith and get answers for you. But this system, we've found that it's making it a lot more user-friendly for the units. One of the things that the units really like is they can see exactly how many spots are still available, and then once the spot's no longer available, it's actually not even given as an option. In the past, when we filled up, we still collected that information, but we might have to boot people out once they got to camp because it was too full. So with this, it allows it to be taken care of prior to that. So let me turn off my screen share, and then I guess it'll be Q&A time?
That's right. We've got a few questions coming in. Let's see. Keith, I'll direct these at you. Let's see. First one will be, can you explain the merit badge age limits? What if my son is really close to the age limit and I think he's ready to take the class?
What we would like for you to do, if a boy is 12, but the merit badge says he needs to be 13, if he will be 13 over the course of summer camp, that is, regardless of what week you're coming, but he's going to be 13 before August the 8th, our last day of camp, we're good to go. That will work out just fine. On the other hand, if he's going to be turning 13 in December, we would pretty much recommend that he wait till the next year. If there's questions about that, you can talk with your Scoutmaster and help us with that. We would appreciate it.
And with that, the leaders, the Scoutmaster can't override the age requirement, so you'll just need to send us an email to registration@ravenhawk.com, and we can override it for you. What I would encourage you to do is go ahead and make all the other changes you want to your troop prior to that, and then save that, and then let us know, and we will get that processed for you. You won't be able to actually override it. You can actually put it in there and then leave it in the cart, and then send us an email. We'll process the cart for you to override the age restriction.
Exactly. All right, Evan?
Let's see. Another one we've got is, what kind of activities can adults do during the day while the boys are in session? Keith?
A lot of the adults take part in the different training activities that we have in camp. Other leaders will help us with service projects. I know we're looking at building a new Adirondack in Dan Beard campsite this summer. So if you've got some carpentry skills, we'll be glad to help you use those skills while we get this new Adirondack put online. There are different things that happen over the course of the week. A lot of folks, if you still have to keep up with the outside world, and they bring their computers to camp. While we don't encourage boys to bring electronics to camp, we have a lot of leaders that will do that. And we have Wi-Fi available at various points, particularly the Scoutmaster's Lounge, where you can go down there and keep up with the work back at home, and that allows you to be at camp for a longer period of time, we hope.
All right. Taking a look at the next one, let's see here. What time does the Wednesday night campfire begin and end? I know I've answered this a lot. Keith?
Generally, we'll start the Wednesday night campfire at 8:15. We would encourage you to come on to the arena. We have a large arena, but it takes a few minutes to get everybody seated. So most folks are coming to the arena between 7:30 and maybe quarter of 8 to get a seat, particularly if they're bringing the troop to try to keep everyone together. We'll start the campfire around 8:15, and we're generally finished by 9:30 each Wednesday night.
Is there a particular time that you ask guests to not arrive before?
We would like for folks to usually not to come to camp before 5 o'clock because we still have sessions taking place and the boys are moving back and forth through the camp. So if you can, plan on arriving after 5 p.m. on Wednesday.
Very good. Let's see what's up next. The question is, how full is camp right now?
The first 6 weeks of camp, we've got troops in virtually every campsite. There are a couple of campsites in week 3 that are open, and maybe one other, but that's pretty much it. Week 7 still has several campsites that are available, and we'd be glad to have any troops that are still thinking about coming or maybe coming back for a second week, come join us week 7.
Very good. Can I change my campsite, and how do I go about doing that? Can I do that in Tentaroo?
You will need to contact me to do that, and I'll work back with Nate to change that in the system. That depends on availability. While we have troops in all the campsites, it depends on how many boys they're actually bringing. And now that we're starting to see those unit counts come forward, we can then make that determination better.
Yep. And the easiest way to do that would just be send it to registration@ravenob.com. Like I said, we talked to Keith about daily. So anytime you send that information, we'll get that right to him, and he can tell us yay or nay, and then we'll take care of it for you.
Exactly.
Very good. We've got one coming in from Allison Pelfrey. She asks, if my troop needs to arrive at camp early on Saturday, who should I contact to let them know about this? Keith?
We have a lot of troops that end up doing that just because of travel schedules. We'll be glad to have you come in. We'll have your campsite ready. And if you would send an email there again to registration@ravenob.com, our staff will have a campsite host that will meet you and get you settled into your campsite. Our dining hall is not open for dinner on Saturday evening or Sunday morning, so meals will be pretty much on your own. However, Domino's does deliver, so we'll try to help you with that as you get into camp.
Is there an order limit to get Domino's to deliver to Low Gap?
I think that's either $50 or $75 at this point.
Very good. Well, it looks like we've covered all the questions. Does anybody else have anything we need to add?
I just would say that I really appreciate all the troops that have contacted us and are working through us as we transition to this new system. I really think once we get the first year under our belts, both on the admin team and on the troop level, that I think they're really going to enjoy, next year, because we'll know exactly how everything's supposed to roll, and we'll work out all the kinks this first year. Anytime you do major system overhauls like we've done, there's always going to be a few little speed bumps, but hopefully we've got this addressed as quick as possible.
I think one of the things, Nate, that this will add in there is the ability for troops to go back 6 months or 2 years later and see what the boys did while they were in camp. It'll build that archive and a troop history. Nate, do you want to also address blue cards and how that will work with Tenaroo?
Yeah, so when they get to at the end of the week, our I believe it's changing a little bit. Our reports will change this a little bit. So it's going to show you in the past, our reports showed outstanding requirements. I believe on this one it's going to show you completed requirements. So on your blue cards it would show everything that was completed, and then what was outstanding would have to be taken care of outside of the camp. But most of the merit badges at camp, unless there's prerequisites they have to bring, most of the merit badges on our schedule, they get completed at camp. In that little reports menu on the home screen, you can actually print blue cards for that week. So you'll be able to see the blue cards when you print them home. The other neat thing about this is once everything's done on Friday night with session registration and all our areas get all their information uploaded, your unit advancement chairman could be back at home, and they could pull up this information before you even leave camp and have that uploaded and entered into TroopMaster or whatever management software you guys use at the troop level. So we think it's going to provide you some great tools, not only while you're registering for camp, but after camp and next time. And we're going to be rolling out in the next couple weeks. We're actually going to start this after summer camp. We'll be switching everything over. Any units that want to reserve Camp Raven Knob, any facilities at Camp Raven Knob for the off season, so for a weekend camping trip or anything, you're also going to go through the exact same platform that you use to register for summer camp to register facilities. So once we get them all updated and we turn it on, you'll see on that left-hand column where it said like Boy Scout Summer Camp, Cub Scout Summer Camp, all that stuff. It'll say facilities, and that's where you'll go, and you'll be able to see a grid of what's available, what's not available, weeks that are blacked out because summer camp you can't reserve a facility while we're during summer camp season. Anything like that, those will all be on there. So we're trying to make this a one-stop portal for our units to deal with us, to make sure that everything that deals with Raven Knob is going through one area.
Very good. I think I'm pretty good on my end. I really appreciate everybody being with us tonight, and thank you, Adam, Nate, and Evan, for your work in making this webinar possible. Feel free to share this with parents and other leaders in your troop, and we look forward to seeing everybody at Raven Knob in just a couple of months.
I want to point out one more thing. Adam Moore is on the call too. He's going to be our registrar who's actually there. So Nate and myself won't be there this summer, but Nate can be the person you talk to. Adam?
Sure. So our office at Camp Raven Knob will be opening on Monday, May the 16th. So that's when I'll start being in the office every day during business hours. So feel free to email or call me at camp after that date. But of course, we're manning our emails daily right here between the three of us, and so all that is working very well. But if you have any questions, especially in regards to the Order of the Arrow, as Keith said, I am serving as our lodge chief this year. I can answer all those questions, but also anything in terms of registration or specific questions about camp itself that can better serve you, your units, and the families of your units. But I'll be there starting on Monday, May 16th, and we'll be there until camp is well over. So feel free to get in contact with us. And we appreciate the support from everybody with this new adjustment with the registration system. We know that it has some growing pains, and we've kind of been working through it as well, but we appreciate everybody's work with it.
All right, we got one more question that came in on Google+. It says, Nate, this might be more of a you question. It says, my invoice shows $110 charge per leader, but the leader's guide says that we get 2 leaders free if we have at least 10 scouts. Why is that?
We've not. It could be that I've not got to where we've applied the leader credit yet. So what you'll do is, if you can send an email with that troop information to registration@ravenknob.com, I'll do that tonight. I was waiting to go through and process all those until we actually got most all of our units registered. So what it'll do is you'll see on your invoice after you apply that process, you'll see something that says RK leader credit $220. And so it'll show up just like a payment would, as if you paid the camp. So then that will decrease your total that you owe us. So it's not automated that way. So we actually have to go in and apply that credit. So we'll do that. And so their final payments are not due till 3 weeks out of camp. So we'll have that in there well in enough time before they have to make a final payment.
All right. I think that's it. Keith, did you have anything else?
We just got one more question that came in.
Where was that, on email?
Yes. So that question is in regarding to their troop is arriving by tour bus. So if your troop is arriving by any sort of bus, a school bus, a charter bus, or anything of that nature, please let us know ahead of time. Send us an email and let us know that. And what we ask that you do is when you enter into camp, before you cross into the gate, you'll turn right into our maintenance facility, which has a very large parking lot that we can pull that bus into, unload your gear onto some of our camp vehicles. We'll transport that to your campsite, and then we'll get somebody to guide your troop to to where they need to go. You can arrive at essentially any time that you need to arrive, but of course, if you're having a tour bus and you would like our assistance with transportation, it's easier to get all that done in daylight, just because trekking through camp at night with a 2-ton truck can be kind of difficult. So we do ask that. And then also there's a question about campsite maximum capacities. You think that your troop may be going over. What I would suggest that you do is send us an email, and we'll get you in touch with Keith, and Keith can work with you to see if possibly there's another campsite that might better fit your troop, or if we'll be able to squeeze everybody in. So if you think that your campsite is going to be an issue from what you've seen with our capacities in the Leader's Guide, please, please, please let us know, and we'll try to get that worked out. But the sooner the better is always great.
And in that regard, our motto is, certainly mine, is leave no boy behind. Bring every scout to camp, and we'll take care of him.
And if it's a couple over the stated capacity, what we'll mostly do, which we normally do, is called tent crew. We'll actually move tents into the site to allow that capacity to increase to that level for your troop.
Very good. Anything else?
Adam, did you get any more emails?
Registration email's clear. I think Adam's muted himself.
Very good, folks.
Yeah.
Everybody have a good evening, and happy scouting. We'll see you at Raven Knob. Thank you, gentlemen.